It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Conversations with Joan. Conversations with Joan will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life's Conversations with Joan. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Conversations with Joan focuses on topics that are important to your life, from health and wellness to professional development to personal well-being. Change makers join me to share their insights, tips, and strategies so you can thrive and live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. Now, let's start talking. It's so easy to get caught up in the drama and distractions of daily life that most people miss out on living happy, fulfilling lives. Today's guest, Tracy Webster, teaches how to experience life despite any challenge, obstacle, or roadblock. According to Tracy, it takes a daring, courageous person to break out of their comfort zone. Tracy is a best-selling author and entrepreneur. Her new book is We're Learning to Fly, a story of true forgiveness to change the past and transform the ugly into the beautiful. Welcome, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jen. I'm so happy to be here.
It's really my pleasure to have you back on the show. You were here not too long ago with your husband, Steve, so it's nice for us to have an opportunity to speak one-on-one today.
It is indeed.
So in your book, it's not the things that happen to us that make us sad or stressed, you say, but our response to them. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. Often information comes through, whether in Facebook posts or memes or whatever, and the saying that we only have control over our response, we don't control anything outside of us. It made perfect sense, but only once I started to analyze and have a look at what that actually meant and start to embody it and practice it in principle, did I start to actually understand the power that it has and how it actually works. We have everything within us that we need. We need nothing. So all we have to do actually is uncover that we have this inside. We have to recognize it. And when we don't do that, because it's a scary process to do that. It's a scary process to understand that we have everything that we need. So we don't generally face our fears because they overwhelm us. So in order to, and they cause us pain. And if we don't deal with them, in order to be able to live under such a backward state, we project the cause of our problems outside of us. And when we do that, we give away our power to actually make a change, because now we require something outside of us to change in order for us to feel better inside. And only when we understand that we have that power, and that power lies in how we respond to something, are we able to then actually make a change and bring about what it is that we want and not face what we don't want. So it's incredibly powerful when you actually recognize and embody that I actually can control what I see and what's going on around me and what's affecting me by how I respond to it. Because our reality is a reflection of what we choose to see. And that is one of the hardest things for me to understand. It took me a long time, that we actually choose our perspective, and therefore what we see, what we experience in this reality is based on a choice that we made of what to see.
That really is so important. I can remember many years ago when my father was battling lung cancer, and I had gone to get some assistance from the pastor of my church at the time. And I remember him saying to me to find the blessings in the situation. And I was actually very angry at him, because I'm thinking to myself, my father's dying and you want me to find a blessing in this? But what you're saying is we always have that choice for what we want to see in any given situation. Our perspective and how we're going to view it really does impact the way we navigate change or trauma or whatever it is we're going through.
Absolutely. And you've just hit the nail on the head. all possibilities exist in any experience or any moment. All possibilities exist because energy cannot be created or destroyed. So any possible way that an experience can be experienced, it already exists out there in the field of infinite possibility. And so a skill that we need to develop is to find the good in any situation. And the good in that situation is the perspective that makes you feel as close to gratitude as possible. And then once you find that perspective, focus only on that perspective. It doesn't mean that the other possible ways to view it disappear. They still exist because they're just an energetic footprint. So it's a conscious decision that we make to go to decide to pick the good perspective in any given situation. So likewise, your pastor was totally correct. When you can find the blessing, you can feel gratitude, and feeling gratitude feels so much better and lifts us up than feeling sorrow or sadness or anger or resentment or any other a perspective that we could choose. And it really comes down to a choice. And when I realized that, it was so profound, but when I tried to explain it, the words just didn't seem to convey how profound it is.
Tracy, you say that in your 40s, it became your mission to forgive, forget, and to let go. And that's really challenging for a lot of people who have been hurt by someone else. How are you able to go about doing that, and why was it so important to you?
Last year, I had a very transformational year, and I had to check in every now and then to figure out that I was actually on the right path and I wasn't going through everything I was going through for no purpose. Mm-hmm. And so I regularly asked, what is this person that I'm really practicing to become? What does this person look like on the outside? What does she do, etc.? And I was abused by my father when I was younger. And when I asked this question, the answer that came back was, the person you're trying to be would probably have a relationship with her father. And I thought to myself, well, there you go. The voices in my head, I've used up all their wisdom. I need new voices, because I absolutely decided that was not happening, because just no way. But that thought kept persisting, and every time I checked in, who's this new person and what does she look like, that's the answer that came. So eventually I had to look at that, and I knew I couldn't approach him with anything but love. And so I had to find that perspective. And in order to find that perspective, obviously I had to let go everything that happened. And the only way that I could find to let go is to practice true forgiveness. And so I studied what forgiveness actually is. And I discovered that forgiveness, as we utilize it in this reality to forgive the bad that someone's inflicted on us, didn't sit well with me, because that didn't help me let go of the pain and everything that went with what I'd experienced. And the only way that I could let it go was to realize that this is an illusion, a thought and belief. And what helped that sink into my brain and become an aha, where I could actually embody it and practice it, was the story that my husband told me. I think he calls it the parable of the lesser light, where if we're all souls, and at a soul level, we come to this earth to experience, let's say, I want to learn forgiveness and experience how to forgive. And another soul says to me, well, I will come to this reality with you, and I will inflict this pain on you. And you say to the other soul, but why would you lower yourself to such a low vibration to come and do that? And the other soul says, because I love you. And when you can look at it from that perspective, then you can let go and you can forgive, but true forgiveness, where you just have absolutely no strings attached to that any longer. And it was very empowering for me to look at it from that perspective. My dad didn't actually teach me true forgiveness. He taught me what is possible. And my husband, who we're still together, he has taught me what true forgiveness is. Our journey together has been, we describe it now as a combination of pure torture and absolute bliss. And that torture. We have put each other through such trials and hardships. And in order to still be with him and still have the love and the connection, I absolutely had to see that everything that we went through had a purpose, had meaning. I had to find the meaning in it in order to find the gratitude. And when you can see why something had to happen because it got you to a point of closer to who you really are, to your higher self, and when you can recognize that something gets you there, then it's as beautiful as being there. And when you can see it in that light, you actually change the past. You change what occurred because the past is no longer here. So what is it? It's an illusion. And the future hasn't yet arrived. So that's also an illusion. So the only moment in time that's actually real is this present moment. But we can still access the past. And we do that through how the past made us feel. So we get in touch with the emotions of that past and the memory of it. But what we're in fact doing is just connecting to the energetic footprint of that memory. And if we can go and find the meaning of that memory and then find the gratitude, what we're doing is we're changing the energetic footprint of that memory and quite literally changing the past, so that now when we go back and have a look at the past, we no longer find stuff that brings us hurt and brings us all sorts of low-level emotions, but we find gratitude for it. And when I realized that I could change the past, I went and looked at everything I could find in my past that brought up any feelings of yuck, and I went and found the meaning. And when you find the meaning of something that you had to go through, that's when you're able to let it go, and that's when you're able to change it. Its impact on you, and when you do that, it frees you like you cannot believe.
Well, most of us think that everything we experience in life is happening to us, but this is
Correct.
basically having us say it's happening for us rather than to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, it's such a simple statement, but when you understand it, both intellectually and emotionally, it's golden, because everything is happening for a purpose. There's a reason everything happened, and ultimately, at the end of the day, the reason is it's a lesson, and the lesson is to help you get closer to your higher self, and being your higher self embodies joy, happiness, gratitude, love. That's who we are. Actually, that's who we are. And the more time we can spend in that state, the closer we are. And that is ultimately the purpose to life. And the point to actually even being here is to absolutely find joy in everything that happens. And that includes the good and the bad stuff. And if you can't find the joy and the beauty and the gratitude for the bad stuff, then you're missing the point to being here in the first place.
Tracy, this past year has been challenging for many people financially. You and your husband, you experienced near bankruptcy at one point in your life. How were you able to turn that around and rebuild your life? What advice do you offer to people to rebuild their financial health?
So, great question. Thank you for asking it. Yes, we faced bankruptcy. It was during COVID last year when our bank accounts reached below zero, and that happened before for the first time in 20 years. And we didn't have an income, and we didn't have any prospects in the pipeline, and we didn't have a job, anything. So it was incredibly frightening, and we panicked. We sold assets, etc., and then we calmed down to a panic. We thought, hang on a second, we actually know how to create our reality. And if everything happens for a reason, and when you look back, the past, the reason for being able to look back at the past is to be able to connect the dots and find the meaning as to why you went through that. And if you can every time look back and find that meaning, then you, in the present moment, can realize there has to be some meaning here. And can't you find it in the present moment? So we then realized we're actually brilliant creators. We know how this works. We put it into practice. I'm proving to myself daily just how powerful I am. And so we said, okay, we know how to create. Let's do this. And we went back to the drawing board. And how you create, how you change your life, how you bring about what you want is you live in the present moment. Because in the present moment, you only have access in the present moment to the field of infinite possibility. And I know I've gone off now into the woo-woo land and probably lost a few people. So let me come back and just try and explain that in terms that helped me understand it. I had to look at life here as a virtual reality game. In December, I received an Oculus headset, and when I put it on, I was blown away. I was transported into a completely new reality. If I looked up, down, left, right, backwards, forwards, there was a new environment, and it completely absorbed me. And I got totally absorbed. And you actually even, you learn to use your body and pick up things. And I realized that this reality is just like a virtual reality game. So we're in a game, and if anything exists in the game, it must have a purpose. So then I started to have a look at what the purpose of judgment is, what the purpose of right and wrong, because they exist. So what is their purpose? So I started to figure out the purpose of everything, and the purpose of playing the game, and how to win the game, and what the one rule to playing the game is. And I realized that in a game, anything is possible because it's a game after all. So that's how I began to understand the field of infinite possibility. Everything is energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So where does all the energy exist? And it exists in the field of infinite possibility. We live in a 2D world where you have left and right. Add emotion, and you get the third dimension, which is up and down, because emotions can go up or they can go down. And then add time for your fourth dimension, and you've got backwards and forwards, the past and the future. Add your fifth dimension, and you've got energy. And it's a dimension we cannot see, touch, or feel, but it exists nonetheless. And when you, in the field of infinite possibility, all energy exists. So you've got all the energetic frequencies of the past, or the past that you've experienced, plus the past that you didn't experience, and all the energetic frequencies of the future. So it exists, you as an astronaut, you as an actress, you as a pauper, you as a very rich person, etc. All of those possibilities exist. And the fact that you can think of the possibility means that it's not too far removed from you in energetic terms. And when you understand that, and you can only access it from the level of the game called present moment, when you reach that level, a hidden drop-down menu comes, and you find the present moment, and you access the present moment, and then you have access to the field of infinite possibility. And how you bring the future possibility to you in the present moment is you get in touch with how you would feel in that moment if you had all the financial success that you're wanting. Can access that, the emotion, the feeling, because our feelings are an indicator of where we're vibrating. So when you can access that feeling of who you are, experiencing that reality of what you want, so your full financial success, your relationship success, whatever success you're wanting to manifest, if you can experience the feeling of how you will feel and keep experiencing it, you are then vibrating at the same level of that energetic footprint, and you attract it to you in the current present moment. And that's how we create our reality. And so when we were faced with bankruptcy, we then went back to the drawing board and did that. And every single day, all this work happens in your subconscious, and there's only a few ways to access the subconscious. You have to bypass your analytical filter, your critical mind, in order to get to your subconscious. And meditation is a very, very powerful way to do that. So we started daily meditation and visualization in order to get into the emotional state that we would feel if we had that reality now. And I started doing that with anything. My daughters had an argument, and I wanted to have them be friends again, best friends. And I started to visualize that and understand how that would make me feel. And when you get into that feeling, that's when you create it. And it was a couple of months later, my daughter's getting married. We were out all together, all three of us, buying dresses. And I realized that, hey, I created that. And the joy was, it was so much even better than I could even have imagined it. And that's how we bring the reality we want to experience to us in the present moment.
And that's what's so exciting about it, because there truly are infinite possibilities for all of us if we learn how to tap into it. The book is We're Learning to Fly, a story of true forgiveness to change the past and transform the ugly into the beautiful. If you'd like to get more information about Tracy and her work, you can visit steveandtracywebster.com. Tracy, thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you found the show informative. At At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided is the opinion of our guest and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, sign up for our mailing list, and be sure to follow the show on social media. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.